Got some breaking news out of the NFL. The Broncos have informed Russell Wilson that he will be released after the start of the new league year. The move ends a tumultuous two-year marriage between the Broncos and the quarterback, which started with a trade from Seattle in 2022. Denver will owe Wilson $39 million guaranteed for the 24 season. He's got 3 years remaining on his deal. That'll get cleaned up a little bit later on here. In 30 years with the Broncos, 42 touchdowns and 19 interceptions. 2 and done for Russell Wilson, and both Russell Wilson and the team issuing different statements. But let's welcome in our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. JJ, what more can you tell us about what we're learning today?
Yeah, this has been expected really since Christmas, when we learned and found out that Russell Wilson had been informed back during the Kansas City bye week, or after beating the Kansas City Chiefs, and then the bye week, that they wanted him to adjust his contract, and then benching him for Jared Stidham for what the Denver Broncos termed football-related reasons. It was clear at that point that Russell Wilson was no longer going to be a Denver Bronco as soon as the 2023 season was over, despite him playing a lot better in the second half of the season. This is going, Tommy, to go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history. I don't know how you can argue against it when you consider what the Broncos gave up in order to get Russell Wilson, who still had 2 years left on his contract with Seattle, and then he signed a 5-year extension. That's where it is right there. And those are some decent players right there. You would argue there are several of them who have outplayed Russell Wilson in his 2 seasons with Denver. But then also, the Denver Broncos signing him to a 5-year contract extension worth $250 million. So, Tommy, just to be clear and technical, he played out the final 2 years of his previous deal while also getting a signing bonus, getting paid and whatnot with this deal. But the 5 years that he signed on to play for the Denver Broncos, he won't play for the Denver Broncos. So, obviously, a very difficult end for a guy who, you know, what, 5 years ago we were probably saying was on pace to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. And now he's going to be out there looking for a new job. He would very likely sign somewhere on the veteran minimum so that Denver's paying the rest of his contract, and then hope to revive his career elsewhere, competing to be the Week 1 starter.
It's interesting, JJ, because both the trade and the contract are both bad, and there are people, of course, which have an opinion about which one is worse. But again, to your point there, laying out the details of Russell Wilson's previous contract and what he signed with the Denver Broncos. Okay, let's first start with Denver. Where do they go from here now, cutting Russell Wilson loose?
Well, they're going to have to find a quarterback. They know and understand that. They do have Jared Stidham there, but they're going to have to go out and find someone, and that could be in the draft. That could be maybe in free agency, but we will see. I mean, right here's a nice handy chart. So that's who they are competing with in free agency. You know, you can go ahead and cross off a Kirk Cousins going to Denver. They don't have the money for something like that. They don't have the assets to trade for a Justin Fields. Really, they don't have the assets to trade for anybody. And so they're going to have to find a cheap veteran, or they're going to have to find someone in the draft. The Denver Broncos picking 12th in the draft after going 8-9 this past season. Look, I was told at the Combine, watch for Denver to try to make a move, for Sean Payton to try to move up and draft a quarterback, one of these top guys. Well, I'll tell you what, no one's going to 1. Chicago's going to stay at 1, but you have Minnesota at 11, who could be a mover. You have the Las Vegas Raiders at 13, who could be a mover. And wedged in between there are the Denver Broncos. So it's going to be extremely interesting, Tommy, to see what ultimately Denver is able to do. But, you know, they are a little handcuffed by all of this dead money that they have on the salary cap, thanks to this Russell Wilson contract. So they're going to have to factor that into whatever they do moving forward.
Tough to blame the Broncos. They had not made the postseason or had really quality quarterback play since their Super Bowl run with Peyton Manning in 2015. If we get to Russell Wilson, you mentioned it briefly there and hinted at it, JJ, but what's next for Russell Wilson? And maybe we'll bring up that chart again with possible destinations.
Yeah, so in terms of his contract, he can sign for the veteran minimum, and he's still going to collect nearly $40 million from the Denver Broncos. So any of these teams right here who need a quarterback or could upgrade, you know, he could sign there and play for $1.something million for 2024. And then he could determine whether he wants to play, you know, on a one-year deal or if it would be a multi-year deal. You know, we'll have to see there. Russell Wilson has gotten 2 major contracts in his career. The focus for him certainly should be on making sure that he can get another contract in the NFL. So the Atlanta Falcons, you know, the Raiders, the Vikings, any of these teams that could, will need a quarterback could all bring in Russell. It's just a matter of what their taste is going to be. Is he going to do a free agency tour, or is he going to hope to strike early in free agency so that if there is this game of musical chairs around the league at quarterback, he's not left without a chair come the draft. So I could see him certainly trying to find a landing spot sooner rather than later once he is released at the start of the new league year, and then things can start to begin there in mid-March.
Our Jonathan Jones with the latest. JJ, thank you. I mentioned the responses from both the team and Russell Wilson. Here's the one from Danger Russ. And part of it reads like this: over the last 2 years, you welcomed my family with open arms and embraced us as members of the Denver community. This city will always hold a special place in my heart. It went on to say, our family grows here. We made countless memories and friendships and form relationships that will last a lifetime. As you digest the last of that, I can tell you I took a look at his statement, and he thanked the city. He thanked some of the players, did not mention coaches or the front office.